Hey, what's up? Hello, it's Lex. Welcome back to my channel. Can you guys believe that we're like halfway through the year? 2025 has been crazy. I don't think I need to elaborate. But you know what I do need to elaborate on? What I've been reading. It's that time, everyone's favorite time of year. It's the mid-year book freakout tag. Okay, prompt number 1. Everyone's dying to know, what's the best book that I've read this year? My favorite book that I've read so far this year is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This book has beautiful prose. The prose in this book, stunning. Is it like my favorite plot I've ever read? No. Is it like the most perfect thing I've ever read? Not necessarily. The vibes, immaculate. I had so much fun. I half listened to it, half read it physically. I did both. And it was an absolute blast. I liked the audiobook. I liked the reading experience of it. It's a story, it's like a queer YA horror. We're following a protagonist who he's a writer. He likes to write. Specifically, he likes to write fairy tales. And he writes these really dark, gruesome, horror-y fairy tales. And his best friend is an artist, and he likes to draw them. They've kind of found this companionship in their love for dark stories, be that written or visual stories. And when they go back for their senior year, I believe it was, the things that Thomas has been drawing, many of which are inspired by Andrew, their names are Andrew and Thomas, right? By Andrew's stories, are coming to life. So they have to figure out how to fight their own demons. There was beautiful prose, beautiful, it's beautiful. I loved it. Moving on. The best sequel that I've read this year, I haven't. I have not read a single sequel this year. So instead, I'm going to tell you what book I would consider reading the sequel of. Because I have read a couple first books in a series. So I would consider reading the sequel to Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I thought it was fun. It wasn't my favorite thing I've ever read. It's not the best thing I've ever read, but it was a fun read. And if I'm ever in the mood for something that feels kind of light and fluffy and it's fantasy in the sense that there's vampires and there's werewolves. But it's not super high fantasy. It's romance. It's pretty simple. I could maybe see myself picking that up. A new release that I haven't read that I want to. I have a few that I'm going to talk about because there have been some really, really interesting new releases this year that I haven't gotten to. And it was actually really hard just to pick 3, and then I added on a 4th one because I was like, oh yeah, I guess this is also a new release that I haven't read yet. So I have 4 to talk about. I'm going to talk about them really briefly, but the first one is near the top of my TBR list. Really, really want to read Kill Creatures by Rory Power. If you've been here with me for a while, you'll know that I really love Rory Power. Rory Power is one of my instant read authors. Rory Power drops a book, I'm reading it. And that's because I literally was so obsessed with Wilder Girls, which still to this day, when I think about my favorite books, Wilder Girls makes the cut. But Kill Creatures is her newest novel, following a young girl named Nan who, her best friends went missing, and she's spent a year, processing that and grieving that, and then on the anniversary at the vigil, one of them returns very much alive, and that is concerning, because Nan is the one that killed them. And the promise of that premise seems delicious. I have requested it from the library, but there were quite a few people ahead of me in line. Maybe not on the audiobook, but I'd rather read that one with my eyes. I don't know. We'll see. I'll be quick, she says. Okay, the next one, With a Vengeance by Riley Sager. This one is going to be super brief. This is train thriller set in the 50s, which is new. That's new. Vengeance. They're locked on a train, locked door mystery thriller. I think it'll be fun. I like everything Riley has done. At least enough to keep reading them. Not every book he's ever put out is like my favorite book ever, but I enjoy them enough to continue reading them. The next one is the one that I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's technically a new release that I haven't read. I still haven't read Sunrise on the Reaping. Okay, here's the deal. I own it. It's up there. It's on my shelf. I want to read it so bad. I have been mostly reading for vlogs in the last 2 months. Sunrise on the Reaping's got to be its own reading experience, but I've got to finish reading these vlog TBRs first. So as soon as I finish those, I think Sunrise on the Reaping is going to be my next read. And the next one, the last one for this section, is Eat the Ones You Love by Sarah Maria Griffin. This is about a retail workplace romance, secret romance, love affair, and plants that eat people. And it sounds fun. That seems exactly the kind of lightly cursed that's right up my alley. It's pretty short, I think, if I recall correctly. It's giving Little Shop of Horrors. Anticipated releases for the rest of the year. These books aren't out yet. This Is My Body by Lindsay King Miller. This is a horror novel about a woman who grew up Catholic and is a lapsed Catholic. So she's given up on the Catholic faith. She is no longer Catholic. She has a child and then later is my child's fucking possessed. And it seems like a horror exploration of religious trauma through the lens of being Catholic, and that sounds also right up my street. I grew up Catholic and no longer identify as Catholic, much like the protagonist, so I think that's going to really resonate with me. Also, I think demons and possessions are spooky, and I love a spooky book. My biggest disappointment so far this year, I feel bad about every time I talk negatively about it, but it's Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt. I want to like this book so bad, and I hated it. The more I think back on it, the less I the less I enjoy it. The more I think about it, the more I hate it. I really, really respect everything Alison was doing, and I do actually think that Alison accomplished the things that she set out to accomplish. I think that it just didn't work for me. So many people love this book. It was actually personally recommended to me on multiple occasions by different people. I spoke about this in my first TBR reading vlog, which I will link down below. It's a story about fascism, and there's a lot of things that I think come along with that, such as sexual violence, violence against trans people and Jewish people and some other minorities, women, and there's a lot going on there. And it's a haunted house story, and it just didn't land for me. But so many people love it, and I would encourage you to read it if it sounds like something you would like, because there's very obviously an audience for it. I'm honestly really surprised the audience wasn't me. I still can't really put an exact finger on what it was about it that really didn't work for me, but it was something. I was sad that I didn't like it. Biggest surprise so far was Siren Queen by Niveau. I didn't expect to like this that much, specifically because it's historical fantasy, historical fiction, historical fantasy, which I pretty notoriously am not a huge fan of historical fiction or historical fantasy. Not never, but not usually, is kind of how I explain that. And this one is about the golden age of Hollywood, and we're following a protagonist whose, like, big dream is to be a huge, like, actress in the golden age of Hollywood, and she's an Asian woman. At that time, obviously still now, but at that time it was, like, especially difficult to be cast in films, and there is this really fun magical element as well. It's queer. I really, really liked it. I had a blast reading it. It was so much fun. I really recommend. I don't know if I sold it very well, but it was really good. I was flabbergasted that I liked it so much. I also read that, I think, in the same vlog. So, it's linked down below if you want to hear me talk more about that. New favorite author. I think this question is hard to answer because most of the authors I've read this year, either they already were a favorite author, like one of my favorite authors, or an author I really like, or it's like the first time I've ever read from them. And I don't know if it's fair to, like, point at an author and be like, that's one of my favorite authors, if I've only read one novel from them. So instead, I am going to give you 3 names of authors that I think could potentially become favorites of mine. Those 3 authors are C.G. Drews, who wrote Don't Let the Forest In, Rachel Harrison, who wrote Such Sharp Teeth. I thought that was, like, a really fun, like, comedy horror vibe. It wasn't, like, a perfect read for me, but I think she has or will write something that is, like, really, really gonna do it for me. And Ashley Elston, who wrote First Lie Wins, which was my first 5-star of the year. It's, like, realistically a pretty generic thriller, but I had so much fun listening to it on audiobook. I listened to it on audio. And it, like, I was really disheartened because I had read, like, I don't know, like 13 books or something at that point, and none of them had been 5 stars. And then I listened to First Lie Wins, and I had so much fun that I was like, 5-star, it did it. So I'm very much interested to read some of her other works in the future. New favorite character. I think maybe because I haven't really been reading like series and stuff, I don't really have a super standout, like, favorite character from anything that I've read this year. I mean, I guess maybe Thomas from Don't Let the Forest In, but even that I don't feel, like, super strongly about. Another one, new favorite ship. I don't have one. Only a few of the books that I've read have been romance, and none of them I, like, was so obsessed with the romance itself that I'm like, my ship, you know, which I do experience sometimes. It's not that I, like, don't ship. I very much do ship, but yeah, once again, I think it's because I've mostly read horror, haven't read very much romance. Ship's just not necessarily something that's been happening this year. That's fine. A book that made me cry. Crying in H Mart. Crying in H Mart made me sob for, like, 80% of it. It was, like, after the first 15%, literally every time I opened the book, I just started crying. It's a memoir about a young woman whose mom dies from cancer, and it's, like, talking about her relationship with being mixed race. She's, like, half Korean in America. She grew up in America. And, like, trying to connect with her Korean heritage and, like, not feeling like she belongs anywhere, and having a weird relationship with her mom, and then her mom gets cancer, and then you, like, watch her and her family go through that, and then her mom dies. It was sad. It was devastating, and it was real, which made it worse. I cried so hard. It was pretty good. If that's the kind of thing you like, I recommend it. I gave it 3 stars. A book that made you happy, I already mentioned it. My shout for this one is going to be First Lie Wins by Ashley Elston. Simply because it was my first 5-star of the year, and I was just really, really excited to finally have, like, broken through my 5-star rut. The most beautiful book I've bought this year, it's When Haru Is Here by Dustin Tao. This book is beautiful, and I am excited to read it. It's about a boy named Eric who, post the death of his best friend, creates imaginary scenarios to deal with his grief. And then one day, one of those imaginary scenarios named Haru, which was a boy he had, like, met on his trip to Japan a year prior, comes into the coffee shop, sits next to him, and he, kind of has to process his feelings and his grief. And, it sounds like it's gonna break my heart and be devastating. Books to read by the end of the year. This took me forever to narrow down a list. I'm going to talk about 4. Okay, I'm going to talk about 4. All the Dead Lie Down by Kyrie McCauley. This is a haunted house, creepy kid novel about a woman who starts nannying in a creepy house with creepy kids, and it sounds fun. Wow. You can tell I want to read it. I have so much to tell you. I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast Is Me by Jameson Shea. Okay, first of all, I Feed Her to the Beast and the Beast Is Me is maybe one of my favorite novel titles I've ever heard. I read that title and was like, are you kidding? It's incredible. Okay, this is about a young woman who's a ballerina and she's black, and it's like her, her biggest dream to be like a prima ballerina, to be like the ballerina. And obviously she's existing in a world and in an industry where that kind of opportunity isn't always easily afforded. And so she goes into the catacombs and makes a deal with a river of blood, and then is afforded more opportunities and stuff. Her rise to the top is bloody. She's not the only monster around. This kind of story is something that really calls to me because of my background as a musician. And I think there's something really fun about exploring wanting something so bad you're like willing to do awful things to get there. I think that in itself is something that's really fun and interesting to explore. And then I just know that the world of things like music and art and dance are so deeply cutthroat that I think that adds another like kind of grit and edge. And then of course in this story specifically there's the added addition of her being like having a marginalized identity as a woman of color within what is already a brutal cutthroat industry. I just think it's going to be really interesting. I really want to get around to that soon. Our Wives Under the Sea by, oh god, I forgot her name, Julia Armfield, is following Miri, whose wife returns from, Leah returns from a deep sea mission that went catastrophically wrong, and she's just so excited to have her wife back, and then her wife comes back and something ain't right. Something is wrong with her wife. And you have to watch her, like, figure out how to grieve the past and move forward and figure out what's going on. I've been told it's very, like, literary horror, and I think it sounds really fun. And In Her Smile, The World. Oh my god. There are 2 authors, and I just forgot both of their names. I'm just gonna read them. Rebecca J. Allred and Gordon B. White. This is also, I think, literary horror, but it's a novella. And it's about 2 young people who one day catch a glimpse, like, behind the veil. And what they see is, like, a hidden cult who are guarded by women. I think it's all women. Guarding them. They can change the future. There's, like, a woman who can see all, and the eyes are scary. And she's coming for them, ? And they have to grapple with what they've seen. I don't know. It's really short. It's like 80-something pages. It sounds delicious. Okay, we're losing light. I'm sure you can tell I keep, like, altering the lighting situation in here. Before I head off, I'm gonna give you just a few little fun little statistics for my statistics girlies. As of today filming, it is June 27th. I have read 27 books, which means that I've met my reading goal. My reading goal for the year was 25. I only read 20 books last year, so I'm far outpacing myself. I still feel good. I'm still excited about reading. It's going smashingly. I'm having a blast. In those 27 books, I have read 8,231 pages, respectively. That's fun. I've read a few shorter books, and I haven't read any, like, really, really long books. I think most of the books I've read have been between 300 and 400 pages. Like I would consider that, like, a pretty standard length novel. 96% of my reads were fiction. 4% were nonfiction. I've only read one nonfiction. It was Crying in H Mart, and it was a memoir. My most read genre of the year is horror. I have read 16 horror novels this year, and I plan on reading more. It's just my favorite genre, and I will continue to reach for it and read it. Cheers. My average rating this year is a 3.46. And I'm going to give you the breakdown, okay? I might need to glance down because I don't think I remember it all. I have read 2 1 stars, 3 2 stars, 6 3 stars, 14 4 stars, yeah, and 2 5 stars. So that's what we're looking at. I don't know. Anyway, it's been a blast. Thank you for hanging out with me. I will see you soon. Bye. Thanks for hanging out.